I made this video so I can talk about something that a lot of devoted Christians go through, and that thing's called blasphemy. Now, blasphemy is something that is slander, and I'll just tell my story about what happened with me. What happened was that I was 14 at the time, and now I'm 15, but I'm so ashamed of myself, I know, but let me just continue. I got an assignment from school, and they were like, you have to choose someone from the Blessed Holy Trinity. You choose God, Jesus, or the Holy Spirit, and my parents were like, do the Holy Spirit, but everyone's like, no, do Jesus, it's so easy, you get an easy A, you know how you already get easy A's anyway, because you're so smart. And I'm just like, I'll do Jesus. My parents are like, no, you're doing the Holy Spirit. I'm like, fine, I'll do the Holy Spirit. So what happened was, that very night, I went... Well, let me just tell you, my family is very religious. They've taught us to fear God, always be afraid of Him. But they've always conveyed God as someone scary, someone that you should always be afraid of. Like, don't wear short, you'll go to hell. Don't do this, you'll go to hell. And when I was a kid, I always remembered that until now. Like, if you don't step with that foot, you're going to hell. If you eat extra, you're going to hell. If you just press that arm that very second, you're going to hell. If your sister doesn't smile, you're going to hell. That was all that was on my mind when I was a kid. And I was always depressed because I was scared I was going to hell. But like on my assignment, I was going to research, and I come across something, blasphemy against the Holy Spirit. The minute I read that, I was like, no, I cannot think this. I'm in a religious family. I love God. I'm not going to do this. I'm afraid, and I don't want. So that whole day, I was just like trying not to think of it. And until that very night, we were praying, and then all of a sudden, these thoughts just clicked. Like one after the other, they're just flying through. And then I was praying, and this really evil thought comes, blasphemous. It was the F word, the Holy Spirit. And the only thing I read from what I learned was from blasphemy was that whoever speaks a word against the Son of Man will be forgiven, but whoever speaks against the Holy Spirit will not be forgiven in this age or the age to come. I misinterpreted it. I thought that's the only sentence I wrote. I didn't even know what it was. I didn't even know the story behind it. I just read that sentence, and I thought I knew exactly what it was. The minute I read that sentence, that very sentence, I was trying not to say it. And that night, when that word just, like that thought, the thought just, I was sitting there, and that thought comes, F word to the Holy Spirit. I started crying, and I didn't tell anyone. At first, my parents cared. They did. And they tried to support me, apparently. But the more I started crying over these thoughts, the more persistent they became. I couldn't look at something without the thought coming. I couldn't turn away without something happening. I couldn't do a test without being afraid that I might go to hell or thinking the thought. I was afraid of committing it by tongue. I was afraid to do everything. I was afraid to even put my feet on a table that used to have a statue there of Jesus. I was afraid to put my back on my backside to a statue, because we have two Jesus holy rooms in our house. I was afraid to do everything. And, well, I felt so depressed because my family gave up on me. Priests gave up on me too, because I used to confess the same sin of, I had these evil blasphemous thoughts, God hates me. 2 weeks, 3 times a week for 6 months. I know it's a lot, but that's what happens when you're afraid. And these thoughts continued. I could not do anything. And, well, I got a straight A report, and I think that was a signal that God showed me that He still loved me, even though I was going through something like this. And then I got the assignment back. I got straight A's for it. And I think that was another signal, but I chose to ignore it. Me being so stubborn and ignorant. I feel so stupid. I wish I listened to my dad. My dad told me to forget the thought and get over it. I didn't do that. I continued to give it attention, the thought, and I couldn't leave it. So what happened was, every time I got an evil thought, I would change it into a good thing. So if I swear we're sin, I'll be like, no, love the Holy Spirit, not that. And the problem was I was communicating with these evil thoughts, and they came more. I was so afraid of these thoughts. I used to cry of my fear. I was afraid of hell. I was afraid of fearing God. I was afraid of offending God. I was afraid of offending His Spirit. I was afraid of making God hate me. I was afraid that God will never like me anymore. He'll never forgive me anymore. I love God so much. Like, I would rather die than say something willful against His Spirit or anything. I cannot live without Him or His forgiveness. So what happened was, my mom and dad gave up on me. They would scream at me and yell at me every time I would ask for help. They wouldn't let me see a psychiatrist. They wouldn't let me do anything. My sisters yelled at me. They treated me really bad because I was a devil child, apparently, because I couldn't control what I thought. And the problem started. I got my assignment back. It's all gone. A month later, and my birthday came. I turned 15. And a new year, because my birthday was in November, and a new year came, and a few days after the new year, I was just worried the whole time. I was afraid of accidentally blaspheming in my mouth, and that's exactly what happened. But an accident. I was in the car, and I was just like thinking about blasphemy, because that's what happens every morning. And I'm like, no, you can't blaspheme. You can't blaspheme. You blaspheme with your head. There's an opportunity you can do it with your mouth. Be careful. That was a thought I used to always get. And I'm just like, I can't do that. I can't do that. So every time something about Jesus would come up, I wouldn't say anything because I was afraid I might slip. Something might slip my tongue, and I'll say something blasphemous, and I'll go to hell because of an accident. I was in the car. We were praying the rosary, and I got sick and tired. I broke. I just burst. I'm like, I've had enough. You know what I'll say? I was young. I was stupid. I can't believe I said that, but it did say it. I said I blasphemed the devil because I thought maybe if I say that to the devil, he'll go away. But I was so foolish. I didn't know. So I kept on repeating it in a very fast. I was like, blaspheme the devil. I said it so fast, maybe 10 times. And then on the 11th go, I accidentally said I blasphemed the Holy, after that. The minute those words just flew out of my mouth, accidentally, it slipped my tongue. I started crying so much. I started crying. I started screaming. And we were at a shopping center. I started crying so bad. And I said it underneath my breath, by the way. Because my mom heard me say that. She just slapped me across the face and fly me to China. So I said this. I was like I was saying like this. I couldn't even hear a sound come out of it, but I'm pretty sure my lips made the movement of accidentally saying that. I felt so sad. I was anxious. When I told my dad's like, blasphemy, God will forgive it. Only if a person repents and turns back to God. I did not believe him once again. And a few days after, I was on a all-time high. I was so afraid and anxious. There was one night that was so bad. My sister described it from her perspective. She told me that I just flew out of my bed in the middle of the night, and I started crying and screaming, and I was afraid that I offended God by an accident, and then he would hate me, and I'm unforgiven now. I went and told my confession to a priest, and my priest told me it was an accident. My heart isn't like that, and God only knows your heart. But I didn't believe the priest. I went to maybe 20 priests. I'm not joking. Every time there was a new priest, I would have an opportunity to run up and confess the same thing. I was anxious. I gave up. I was tired. But I was very, very anxious. I could not. I kept on crying. I was depressed. I was in depression mode. A few days after, another accident hit. I was afraid of blasphemy. I was really afraid of it. That's how bad my fear was of it, that I couldn't control myself. I was afraid, really afraid. What happened was, we were praying for our grandma, who passed away that very night, and we were praying the rosary for her, and my mom's like to me, and my sisters, pray a silent prayer underneath your breath for your grandma. What I planned in my head was, God, please forgive this woman because your power is so great. What's from my mouth was, God, please forgive this woman because your power is so... Instead of the word that I was intended to say in my brain, the word evil came out. You don't understand how that made me feel. I just wanted to die. I hated my life. I hated myself. No one gave me support. I thought I committed a sin. It was thoughts were one thing. Having evil thoughts was one thing, okay? It was one torment. Second torment was having no support, no one cared about you. And third thought was that I accidentally slipped my tongue. I got depressed. Oh, depressed is an understatement. I got really depressed. I'm 15 at the moment. I'm making this video for all those people. I thought I was alone. I went on a website, and there was a girl who was being through way more than I have. And a boy that's a year younger than me has been way through a lot more than I have. They've been through accidents too. And I found out that it was just a symptom, an impulse. Maybe if you can't control your impulses, you might accidentally say stuff you didn't mean. But the Catechism of the Catholic Church states that the Holy Spirit will forgive this sin because God's limits are infinite. We cannot not forgive. God, I just want someone to answer this. Someone that says it won't be forgiven. Will God say to a child, I will not forgive you, even though you've repented. My child died for you on the cross, and I'm not going to forgive you because of an accident you made. 2 accidents you made. In other people's cases, a lot of accidents. They're accidents. They didn't come from the heart. They were accidents. I pray for everyone else. I never gave up. But I'm feeling worn out at the moment. If anyone has Skype, add me. Just ask me send me a message on my YouTube and just tell me that you want to add me, because I really want a friend to talk to. Because if you have any problems, just talk to me. I want friends too. So I'm 15. Want to be my friend? Okay. But my problem actually made me a stronger person. Oh yes, it has. Some people think that what happens to them makes them weak. Yep, it made me weak. Very weak. But it made me strong. It made me weak by flesh, but strong by spirit. I pray for everyone that's going through this, and I hope that God gives us the strength and power. But anyway, yeah, add me on Skype if you want. Just give me your name, and I'll add you. And yeah, that's all. I hope that God prays over us, as scribblosity is not fun. My experience was not a fun one. And if you have any problems, you can talk to me. Thank you. Bye.